It started with a phone call I got on a Tuesday morning in early March 2026, right as I was finishing an oil change on a Tacoma that had just rolled past 95,000 miles. The owner, a quiet guy in his late 40s who drove that truck to work every day for 8 years, called me from a dealership waiting room. He was not panicking, not yet. He just said 3 words: they found something. What they found was a service recommendation on a checklist. A service with a formal name, a printed price, and a service advisor who explained it calmly and professionally, with complete confidence that it was strongly recommended for your mileage. The price was $389. The service was fuel injection cleaning and what the dealership called a throttle body induction service. The advisor told him Toyota recommends it. He nodded. He almost signed. But something made him call me first. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly why he was right to pause, exactly what dealerships are selling when they present services like this, and exactly when these services are actually necessary versus when they are nothing more than high-margin upsells designed to capitalize on your trust in the Toyota name. I have been working on Toyotas and Lexus vehicles for over 2 decades. I have seen this script evolve, sharpen, and get more convincing every single year. And in 2026, it has reached a new level of sophistication that most drivers are completely unprepared for. Here is the uncomfortable truth that no service advisor will ever say out loud. The most profitable items on a dealership service menu are not the ones that fix problems. They are the ones that sound like prevention. Because prevention is invisible. You cannot prove a service stopped something from happening. You cannot show someone the part that would have failed if they had not spent the money. Prevention is the perfect product, and dealerships have mastered the art of selling it to people who care about their vehicles. Toyota owners are especially vulnerable because they actually care. They chose that vehicle because of its reputation. They maintain it because they want it to last. When someone in a uniform tells them a specific service will protect that investment, they lean in, they listen, they trust. That trust is exactly what gets exploited. Let me explain what a fuel injection cleaning service actually involves, and I want you to hold this information up against what you are being charged. Your fuel injectors are small electromechanical valves that spray atomized fuel into the combustion chamber. They open and close thousands of times per minute. Modern injectors are precision instruments, and yes, over time they can accumulate deposits, varnish from heat soak, ethanol residue from fuel, and carbon buildup, especially on direct injection engines where fuel never washes the intake valves the way port injection does. A genuine injector cleaning involves one of 2 things: either an on-car cleaning, where a pressurized cleaner is introduced through the fuel rail, or an off-car ultrasonic bath where the injectors are physically removed, tested, cleaned, and flow tested before reinstallation. The off-car method is thorough, accurate, and genuinely valuable when injectors actually need it. It typically runs between $150 and $300 for a full set, depending on the shop. What most dealerships perform under the name fuel injection service or fuel induction service is neither of those things. Most commonly, they spray a can of aerosol cleaner through the throttle body while the engine idles, sometimes add a bottle of fuel system treatment to your tank, and then give you a $350 to $450 invoice. That is it. The can of aerosol costs less than $15. The fuel treatment costs less than $10. The labor takes about 20 minutes. You are paying dealership markup on chemicals you could buy yourself at any auto parts store, combined with a service procedure so simple it requires no specialized training, no special equipment, and no diagnostic verification whatsoever. And here is what makes it worse. There is almost never a check performed before the service to confirm your injectors actually needed cleaning in the first place. There is no flow test, no carbon measurement, no before and after data. The service is sold based on mileage, not based on condition. If you hit 45,000 miles or 60,000 miles or 90,000 miles, it shows up on the menu. It is not because Toyota engineering decided those are the exact intervals at which your injectors will wear out. It is because those intervals convert well on a service sheet. Now let me address the Toyota angle directly, because this is where the language gets deliberately confusing. Toyota does have published maintenance schedules. They are in your owner's manual. They are available on Toyota's official website. And in 2026, Toyota's maintenance schedule for the vast majority of their gasoline-powered vehicles does not include fuel injection cleaning as a required service. It does not appear as a mandatory item. It is not listed as a condition for maintaining your warranty. If a service advisor tells you Toyota recommends this service, ask them to show you that recommendation in the printed owner's manual or on Toyota's official maintenance portal. In almost every case, they cannot. What they can show you is a dealer-recommended service list, which is an entirely different document created by the dealership, not by Toyota engineers. Dealer-recommended and Toyota-recommended are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing. One is engineering guidance from the people who designed the engine. The other is a revenue-generating document created by the people who profit from selling you services. This distinction matters legally, financially, and mechanically. Your Toyota warranty is governed by what Toyota requires, not what your dealer suggests. If you decline a dealer-recommended service that is not listed in your owner's manual, your warranty cannot be voided. The Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act, which applies to all consumer vehicle warranties in the United States, explicitly protects your right to decline optional services and to use non-dealer maintenance providers without warranty penalty, provided you follow the manufacturer's actual maintenance schedule. Let me walk you through the throttle body component of this service, because it gets bundled in almost every appointment and it has its own set of problems. The throttle body is the valve that controls airflow into your engine. On older vehicles with cable-actuated throttle bodies, carbon deposits would build up around the butterfly valve and the bore, reducing airflow, causing a rough idle, and creating hesitation. Cleaning those was often genuinely necessary and relatively low cost when performed on its own. But modern Toyotas use electronic throttle control, also called drive-by-wire. There is no cable, and there is no direct mechanical linkage between your accelerator pedal and the throttle body. A sensor reads your pedal position, the ECU processes that signal, and a small motor moves the throttle plate. This is the critical detail that changes everything. The ECU in your Toyota learns the throttle body behavior. It stores an idle learned value, a minimum throttle position, and a series of adaptive parameters that allow it to compensate for normal wear and minor deposits over time. When you clean the throttle body on a modern drive-by-wire Toyota, you must perform a throttle position, reset, and an idle relearn procedure afterward. If you do not, the ECU is still operating on stored values that no longer match the physical condition of a clean throttle body. The result can be a rough idle, a hunting idle, stalling at stops, or hesitation on light throttle. I have seen Toyotas come in running worse after a dealership throttle body cleaning than they were before it, not because the cleaning was done poorly, but because the relearn was never performed. The car felt wrong, the driver was confused, and the shop blamed it on something else. Does your Toyota actually need its throttle body cleaned? On most modern Toyotas with less than 120,000 miles that have been driven primarily on highways with consistent fuel quality and regular oil changes, the answer is probably no. Carbon buildup in the throttle body becomes significant enough to affect drivability only under specific conditions. A lot of short trips, frequent extended idling, oil consumption issues that introduce vapor into the intake, or a compromised PCV system that is pushing oily mist into the air intake. If none of those describe your driving pattern, the throttle body your dealership wants to clean at 60,000 miles is almost certainly clean enough to function perfectly without intervention. Here is how to verify that yourself before you spend $1. Remove the intake hose from the throttle body. Use a flashlight to look at the bore. If the butterfly valve is black with heavy carbon deposits that you can feel when you rub a finger inside the bore, cleaning may have merit. If it is slightly gray or has a thin film but no heavy buildup, cleaning is optional at best. If it looks relatively clean with only minor discoloration, you are looking at a service being sold based on mileage rather than condition. Now, I want to talk about the specific Toyota models where fuel system maintenance does have genuine relevance, because I am not here to tell you every service is a scam. I am here to help you distinguish between legitimate maintenance and unnecessary upsells. Toyota GR series engines, including the turbocharged 2-liter and 2.4-liter units found in the GR Corolla, the GR86, and the newer Camry XSE variants, use direct injection systems. Direct injection engines do not wash the intake valves with fuel the way port injection engines do. Fuel goes directly into the cylinder. That means oil vapor from the PCV system, which is normal, coats the intake valves over time without anything to clean it off. On high-mileage GR series and turbocharged direct injection Toyotas, walnut blasting or intake valve cleaning becomes genuinely necessary around 80,000 to 100,000 miles, sometimes earlier in hard-driven vehicles. That is a real service with real mechanical justification, and it costs more because it takes real labor. If a dealership is recommending intake valve cleaning on a GDI Toyota with over 80,000 miles and showing you photos of the deposits, that conversation deserves your attention. But a $389 induction service on a 2022 Camry with the 2.5-liter port-injected engine at 55,000 miles? That is a different conversation entirely. And the answer should almost always be no. The same logic applies to the fuel injectors themselves. If you are experiencing symptoms, that changes the analysis. Rough idle that appeared gradually. Fuel economy that has dropped measurably and cannot be explained by driving pattern changes, tire pressure, or seasonal fuel blends. Hesitation on light acceleration that was not there before. A rough start that takes longer to smooth out than it used to. These are real signals that warrant investigation. But the investigation should start with a diagnostic scan, a fuel trim analysis, and a visual inspection, not with a $400 service sold preemptively because the odometer hit a round number. If your long-term fuel trims are running more than 10% positive, if your oxygen sensor data shows the engine constantly chasing a lean condition, if your live data shows injector pulse width increasing beyond what the load justifies, then yes, your fuel system deserves attention. That is a data-driven decision. What dealerships are selling is not data-driven. It is mileage-driven, and those are completely different things. Here is what I told the man who called me from the waiting room that Tuesday morning. I told him to ask the service advisor 2 questions. First, is this service listed as required in my Toyota owner's manual? Second, has a diagnostic been run showing my injectors or throttle body are actually degraded? He went back in and asked both. The advisor said it was strongly recommended for his mileage. He did not show the owner's manual. He did not mention any diagnostic result. He said it helps with long-term performance and that most customers at his mileage choose to have it done. The man declined the service, paid for his oil change, and drove away in a truck that ran exactly as well as it had when he arrived. 3 weeks later, he sent me a message. Fuel economy was the same. Idle was the same. Nothing had changed because nothing had needed changing. That is the most expensive lesson in automotive service today. The cost of a service you did not need is not just the money you paid. It is the trust you misplaced. It is the false reassurance that you have protected your vehicle when in reality you have simply paid for theater. Protect your Toyota with your owner's manual, not your dealership's upsell menu. Know what is actually required. Know what the symptoms of a real problem look like. Know how to look inside your own throttle body before writing a check. And the next time someone hands you a service recommendation with a formal name, a confident explanation, and a price that assumes you will not ask questions, ask them anyway. The most important tool you own is not in the toolbox. It is the knowledge of when to say no. If this changed how you think about dealer service menus, hit like so other Toyota owners see it before they make the same mistake. Subscribe if you want weekly breakdowns that put the truth ahead of the sales pitch. And drop in the comments if you have ever been upsold a service that turned out to be completely unnecessary. Those stories are more common than the industry will ever admit, and they deserve to be heard.